What's going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. I hope everyone is doing phenomenal tonight, man. I hope everyone out there is having a great weekend. You guys know what time it is. We are hopping right into a 2024, our first 2024 fantasy football mock draft of the year. With you guys, of course, with the Catch fam. So excited to be back with everyone tonight. To hang out with you guys and talk some fantasy football. And we got Pete from After the Review in the house tonight. What's going on, man?
Not much. It's been a long time, but we've made it back here. It's good to see you back. I guess we're getting into football season. It is technically draft season, so I just put out like my big board for the draft. So let's do a fantasy draft tonight and get things cooking again.
It's that time of year, like you said, NFL draft right around the corner. Big time of the year for dynasty fantasy football, of course. And it's about to be a big time of year for redraft fantasy football nerds like ourselves as well. So let me go ahead and send out on Discord that we're going to start this mock draft. And then we'll get rolling. And I have got a lot of questions for you. We've got a lot of fantasy football questions to get into because a lot has changed since we last spoke. So let me get all these notifications out. Mock is starting and let's go. I have no idea. Like, this is just a standard full PPR 12 team for any of you guys out there wondering. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, 2 flex spots, 5 bench spots. So pretty typical here. But overall, man, like, I have no idea what I'm doing in this draft tonight. So I'm excited. Be a little bit surprise strategy, and we'll just see how things go. So it looks like Cats just missed the first pick, but it happens. It's all good. CD Lamb is who Sleeper has ranked number 1 overall in full PPR. So I mean, that's kind of interesting, but I don't really have a major problem with it, I guess. But anyways, Pete, big question for you to kick things off tonight, and good to see everyone in the chat, by the way. Kirk Cousins with the Falcons. I need your reaction here. How we feeling?
I mean, he's dead to me, but
that's it.
I mean, he's dead to me. He's actually dead to me. Like, God, pretty scumbag move, all things considered, to just bounce like that because they gave him an extra year fully guaranteed. He got 2, I heard. Minnesota offered him 2 years. He got the 4 from Atlanta. Just nonsense. Kirk don't want to be loved. Kirk always talk about how he wants to be loved and embraced by people. He don't really want to be loved and embraced by people because he just nuked a bridge. Like, Washington's a whole different beast over there, but he just nuked his one bridge in Minnesota. So good luck, Atlanta. They got a shitty receiving core, and maybe Kyle Pitts can play football. I don't know. Hard doubt.
See, I like the Falcons offense right now. I mean, so taking the emotion out of it, you don't like the Falcons offense from a fantasy perspective next year?
I think they have a high upside, but can we trust them? Maybe is the real question. First and foremost, we don't know what Kirk's going to look like coming back from the Achilles. That is still kind of a big thing. He wasn't mobile, but, once his planting, you still got to move a little bit in the pocket. Are they going to be more consistent using Bijan Robinson? God, I hope so. Kyle Pitts, I think we've all just thrown our hands up in the air with Kyle Pitts. Like, we don't even know. We can't keep drafting him super high and trusting him. And Drake London as a number 1, maybe. I don't know. They lose a lot of, I think they were bad without a quarterback, but, we'll see. I think there is potential there, but it could also just kind of flame out into a decent stat season and 8-8 again.
See, I feel good about Drake London, and I might also be like, I have a lot of Drake London shares and dynasty and stuff, and maybe it's self-projection, but I do think Drake London will benefit the most here. And obviously I go Bijan at the 1.8 here, which is, I feel like the end of the first round. I mean, this time of year it's always kind of up in the air. Let me make this pick. Man, things are so different. I'm gonna go wide receiver here. I know Ayuk's kind of up in the air here, but I'm gonna go Ayuk right here because that's still my
You're
boy.
gonna you're gonna pat. You don't trust no Caleb Williams love over here with DJ Moore.
No,
No
I mean
Caleb
I
love.
like DJ Moore, right? I mean, I think you can kind of pick like DJ Moore, Ayuk. Maybe there's one or two other wide receivers right in that range you can kind of argue for as well. But I was also kind of thinking going double running back, but I just
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna need to warm up a bit here. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I mean, let's talk the Bears a little bit here because everyone is assuming, and I think it's pretty safe to assume that Caleb Williams will be the starting quarterback for the Bears going into next season. Um, I mean, it might kind of make those Vikings look like the worst team in that division, but that's a
Still
different
early.
story.
Still early. Sam
uh,
Darnold for president. Sam Darnold for president.
let's go, Sammy D. So let's talk about this Bears offense. What are the fancy implications here? We've got obviously DJ Moore coming back. Still got Cole Kmet. You've got Gerald Everett added. You've got DeAndre Swift added, and we've got Keenan Allen on this offense as well. So, I mean, I'm a huge DJ Moore fan. Was huge on DJ Moore going into last season. Still like DJ Moore. I think he'll be okay, even with Keenan Allen on this offense. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to see a drop in targets, obviously, and the sheer volume just because there's so many mouths to feed. And Keenan Allen is a high reception kind of guy. Like, he's going to catch 7 to 10 balls if he's feeling it that day. Now, maybe the Chargers know something we don't know, that maybe they didn't feel comfortable paying him because, he is getting up there in age. He is injury prone. And it feels like him and Mike Williams always had the opposite injury year. Like, so Mike Williams was hurt last year. So now Keenan Allen's bound to get hurt this year. Maybe not now that he's off the Chargers, but I still think it's really good. Caleb Williams, I mean, I would be really, really surprised if he's a bust. Now, I'm not a huge fan of a guy who rocks a pink phone, nail polish, and lipstick, but that's just me over here. I don't want my quarterback doing that stuff, but still pretty good at throwing the football.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, the Bears have to be improved, right? And everyone here knows that, like, I was a huge Justin Fields fan in terms of fantasy, and really, when you break things down, like, it wasn't awful when he was actually playing last year from a fantasy perspective. Although there are a couple games where it was not good, but um, I think the Bears will be fine. And ultimately, I'm not that worried about DJ Moore. I mean, obviously, I definitely agree that the targets are going to go down because Keenan Allen is that, PPR type guy, right? Is going to get those targets as long as he's healthy. But I think DJ Moore will still kind of be that upside type of guy. And you guys know I talk about this all the time. Like last year, all kinds of examples, right? Like I prefer drafting Christian Kirk over Calvin Ridley. I prefer drafting Brandon Ayuk over Debo Samuel. Like just two quick examples off the top of my head. And a number 2 wide receiver for me, like, doesn't mean that it's over necessarily. Like there's usually, generally speaking, plenty of targets to go around if the number 2 wide receiver doesn't suck. So I still like DJ Moore, but I'm kind of just gonna have to figure out where exactly I like drafting him. Okay, doke. Who do I want to draft right here? I kind of actually really want to Tank Dell, and that is actually the next offense I want to press you on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to take Rachaad White right here because, yes, in case you guys are wondering, Rachaad White, one of my favorite, most drafted running backs going into last season. Steeper price this year, but he will still be one of my most drafted running backs going into next year as well. But we can talk about that in a minute. So the Texans, whew, man, this wide receiver core. We got Tank Dell and Nico Collins coming back. And a big trade. Got Stephon Diggs. Houston Texans as well. We know Stroud can ball. We know Joe Mixon is on this team now. Damian Pierce is still there. Offensive line's fine. Defense vastly improved last year. But how do we evaluate this Houston Texans wide receiver core from a fantasy perspective, because if we're just talking about DJ Moore losing targets to Keenan Allen, now you got 3 studs at wide receiver for the Texans. So there's a lot of targets to go around. So I'm interested to get your perspective here.
This kind of feels like if you those that remember when the Patriots ran like a six-headed monster at running back, and you just had to pick the correct running back that week that was going to run for a buck 70 and 2 touchdowns, and you never could. That's going to be the Houston Texans offense. I think it's going to be one of the guys who just has a day. Like one week, Diggs is going to have 15 catches and a buck 20 and 2 touchdowns, and then another week it's going to be maybe Nico and Tank will be the because they can share. Diggs can't share. We know Diggs can't share. He's got a real sharing problem. So that could be an issue for them. But if you just focus on Diggs one week and then worry about the other two, I am a little worried about this. Like, it's a really good wide receiver core on paper, and they complement each other super well. You have 2 kind of one receivers in Diggs and Nico Collins, and then you have Tank Dell, who's a total burner over the top. I don't imagine the injury is going to hurt. And then Dalton Schultz, still back, safety valve. Joe Mixon, good run game, power, grindy run game, which they always operate under. So I don't think it's a problem. I just am worried if it's like CJ doesn't quite click with Stephon. He doesn't force the ball to him because CJ doesn't feel like he's going to fall into that trap. And then the Texans are 3-0, 2-1, and they're playing really good. And Diggs isn't getting the targets he wants, and he starts throwing a hissy fit on the sideline. So that's my biggest concern. But on paper, this offense should be unbelievable.
Yeah, this is like the team I have circled that I'm playing with in Madden next year, because it's just not going to be fair. So this is really interesting to me because obviously Tank Dell missed some time last year. There was points early in the season where Nico Collins missed some time, and then Diggs is getting up there in age, right? And Dalton Schultz still, a very serviceable tight end, to say the least, right? I don't think Mixon is really at a point in his career where he's going to be stealing a lot of catches out of the backfield. And then I think Dameon Pierce will probably still get some touches, right? So I don't know. I do think that there's definitely the potential that like one of these wide receivers like gets hurt next year, and maybe there's more target share to go around. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think you're right. It's like super tough. Like if you're going to draft one of these 3 guys, it's like you kind of want them as like your wide receiver 3, which is not going to really be possible where like Collins and Dell are going in drafts right now. But like I love them all as flex players for sure. I still like Nico Collins the best here, but man, it's just gonna be tough to really gauge how that situation is gonna go. But we know Stroud can throw the football, and he is going to get these guys fed for sure. So see how it plays out. A little tough from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, it takes away like 3 number 1 options that people were running, even though Diggs kind of really wasn't towards the end there. But there were like the middle of that season, Nico Collins and Tank Dell were must starts for everybody, and you could play them, plug them at wide receiver 1 or 2, and you were having a very nice day.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, we see like Diggs and Dell go back to back tonight at 3-6 and 3-7. So it's just gonna be it'll be interesting to see like who suffers the most, but it's such a hard thing to guess right now. So okay. Here's another interesting offense that is starting to form here in the offseason. Tennessee Titans. They've really been spending on kind of both sides of the ball, maybe to try and load up against, what we're seeing when the Houston Texans start to form, right? But we got Tony Pollard on this offense now, Calvin Ridley, and I mean that's really it. But D Hop's still hanging around. Treylon Burks is limping around. How do you feel about some of the moves the Titans have made? Does anything here excite you? We've also got Tajay Spears going in his sophomore year at running back. And then Chicken Conquo is still fine. And by the way, I want to say hi to Chris. What's up, dude? Thanks for being here. Appreciate you, man. And overall, from a fantasy perspective, is there anyone that you feel comfortable targeting in terms of the Titans offense?
Not really, because we have no idea what the Titans are going to look like just from a schematic standpoint. I mean, kind of have an idea what they're going to look like schematically, but it is a brand new, all new coaching staff, all new stuff. Will Levis is kind of the linchpin of this entire thing. Like, what do we have on Will Levis now? They're very high on him in the building. I hear they think, he talks a big game. He does all the right stuff. So if Will Levis is kind of a quarterback, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I like Spears a lot. I think he's a good fix, even though Tony Pollard kind of fills the same niche as him as far as running backs are concerned. It was just, I don't know. It's kind of a weird overall here. My
Yeah,
boy.
it's funny because I just accidentally made an auto pick with Calvin Ridley, which I'll leave. I don't care. But
There you go.
um so yeah, let's go Titans. I'm all for it. Yeah, honestly, I do not like I just want to stay away from the Titans completely. And I would not be drafting Calvin Ridley there whatsoever. But I mean, he's still probably the number one guy on this offense, I guess. Like Hollywood Brown goes there at 5'11. I'd way rather have Hollywood Brown with the Rasheed Rice situation being really weird right now. But
Poor
man,
Patrick.
I think the Titans can be improved here. Will Levis kind of a better, year and everything. But I don't feel good about any situation that maybe Chig as a late round, like tight end pick, but I don't like anything here. So before I forget, and Jerry, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. John, I'm liking the new look. I miss little Steven or littler Steven. Oh, but new Steven's pretty cool. Also, screw you, Spencer. Nothing but love for J-Dub. So good to have some of the OGs in the chat. And I don't know, Steven might be on it at some point soon. So I'll let you guys know about that too. But good to see you, Jerry. Hope you're doing great, man. Yeah, but before I forget, how do we look at Justin Jefferson right now, coming from our true Vikings insider?
I mean, he should be good still. Like, he was good with our terrible quarterbacks last year that played when Kirk went down and he was in particular, Nick Mullins. I mean, a lot of people are still riding the Sam Darnold train. Like, no sarcasm here whatsoever. People think he could be this year's Baker Mayfield. Kyle Shanahan last year. He's in KOC's offense this year. People were very high on KOC as a quarterback guru and a quarterback whisperer. He's cut down. He was actually okay in Carolina when he took the job from Baker Mayfield. So, like, that's kind of a thing. Like, he took Baker Mayfield's job, and we saw what Baker Mayfield did in Tampa. Minnesota's got really good supporting cast around him. They have 2 good tackles. They have 2 elite wide receivers. They have a decent third receiver. Hawkinson should be back October-ish, maybe, hopefully, maybe November. Aaron Jones comes in at running back. I think that's a massive upgrade at running back for us. Thank the Lord. Praise Jesus. We don't have Madison anymore. So I think it could be interesting. I think Jefferson doesn't have quite the top tier value he had with Cousins, but also maybe Sam Darnold isn't our quarterback next year by November. So
Sure.
could be another thing. But yeah, it's JJ. He's in a contract year 2 right now, so he's gonna have to go and ball out. But I'm hoping it gets done post draft before we get into training camp. And yeah, he's gonna have a lot of money and go out there and clown on people.
So we do see JJ go with the 1-5 tonight. Do you like Lamb, St. Brown, and Hill over JJ Moore and guys like Chase and Puka? Are you taking them before JJ, or do you like JJ right there at the 1-5?
I think that's a decent, like, I'm not touching CeeDee Lamb. I'm not touching the Dallas Cowboys. I do not think they're going to be good this year. I think they're going to struggle mightily. They did not upgrade. They reshuffle the offensive line. It's kind of old and washed. They lose their defensive coordinator. The defense could be a sieve. My man Mike Zimmer calling the plays for the Cowboys defense now. So I don't know. It just feels super weird. Dak's in a contract year. He's not getting extended from the Cowboys. So maybe I just don't know. Dallas feels like super weird to me. I don't want to invest 1-1. McCaffrey seems super safe now. Injuries, a lot of games last year, went to the Super Bowl. The hangover could be real. I like Amon-Ra. I like the Lions offense, but again, that's an offense with a ton of mouths to feed now. Jahmyr Gibbs in year 2, Sam Laporta in year 2, 2 guys that are going to be getting a lot more touches in big spots. And St. Brown's going to draw the respect of opposing defensive coordinators. Like he's going to get top DB assignments, and he doesn't really have the cast of characters around him at the wide receiver position to like cover up. Like Josh Reynolds gone. He was the number 2 option. Like maybe Jameson Williams steps in there. So I don't mind that. Tyreek Hill, always great. Chase, 50-50. You never know. He's been banged up. Joe Burrow's always banged up. Like if Burrow goes down again, Chase loses all his value, it feels like. And then Puka, the same thing. If Stafford gets hurt, what are the Rams? What is Puka doing?
These are all fair points. Yeah, I feel like, believe it or not, the first round is like, I mean, it's just kind of, you're in a position where like you kind of have to go with some of the names there. But man, there's just still so much that's going to change over the next couple of months before we hit like August, where people actually start drafting towards the end of the month for the most part. So, I mean, it'll be here before we know it, but a lot of question marks. And as always, at this time of the year, like we need the NFL draft to hurry up and get here, right?
Yes, we do.
I'm going to make a weird pick. I'm going to go Deontay Johnson here, who I actually like as a late round wide receiver, and at least in full PPR. And I'm expecting him to stay as the number 1 option for Bryce Young, which I always say it. Like, even if you're out on the Panthers offense going to next season, bad offenses still produce good fantasy players, especially in full PPR. So, I mean, you guys know me. I usually looking for value at running back, and then especially in a double flex format like this in full PPR, just trying to load up at wide receiver and get a lot of depth there. But we'll see how the rest of this draft shakes out.
I just got Stroud in the 7th round here. That feels like fantastic.
I looked at Stroud there, and I really like his value there in the 7th round. But I want to see like what kind of shakes out here in terms of like late round quarterback.
I'm on Stroud MVP watch this year. That's where I am on Stroud in this offense. Sure. I think Stroud's got a real shot at winning the MVP this year.
I don't think there's I think this offense is going to be great. I absolutely agree that he has a shot.
People are sick of Mahomes. People are sick of him. They don't want him to keep winning these dang things.
He's the new Brady. I mean, I'm not comparing him directly to Brady, but in terms of like,
he's there. Yeah. He's got 3 rings. He's there. He's there. He's got 3 rings.
We were seeing the Patriots win, they're in the AFC Championship game like 12 years in a row and whatever. And, winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl is just, people don't like it, but the NFL likes it. That's for sure. So, yeah. Jerry, I did see that you took 3 tight ends. I was like, who is that? I was like, oh, it's Jerry. We'll see. Deontay could be a huge value if Bryce is even average, says Katz. Yeah, I definitely like him here. And I don't know. He might be one of those players that creeps up a round or so over the next couple of months, but we'll see what the Panthers do in the draft as well. So let me know in the chat who are the players that you guys are really targeting at this point in the offseason. Like, who are your guys? And if they're later round and you haven't drafted them quite yet, then you can leave them out for now. But overall, let me know how you guys are feeling and what players you guys are looking at, like late round and everything. I will tell you guys, I really like Jake Ferguson right here in this range. That's actually who I was eyeing with my next pick. So I think that's a great pick by reverse there at the 8-1. I love him as a tight end 1 going into this season. Jeez, I keep almost running out of time. And I actually thought he might be going a little bit later in drafts, but also Jerry took 3 tight ends. So that might kind of push up tight end value in this particular mock draft. But yeah, Jake Ferguson, kind of inspired by Chris at Fantasy Endgame, has been talking about him in a lot of his videos lately. And I completely agree. When you look at what he did last year and that chemistry with Dak, finishing as the tight end 9 last year, so top 10 tight end, just I like where he's going in drafts. But Pete, not a fan of the Cowboys offense. Fine. They're the Cowboys. I'm not going to argue too much there. But I really feel like, depending on schedule, the Cowboys will be pretty similar to last year. When they're facing these
they got a first place schedule. They got a first place schedule, though. They did win that division and then threw it down the drain in the first playoff game. So they have a first place schedule. Yeah. And the division is better than the division has to be better than it was last year. The division was just, my eyes bled. Like the Eagles are going to be better than how they finished the season for most of the year, I would say. They're going to be consistently decent. I think the Eagles are like another 10, 11 win team. The Commanders are going to be good next. Like that is the sleeper team that everybody is on. The Commanders are going to be good next year. They're going to have a good defense and they're going to get a good rookie quarterback with Cliff Kingsbury, and they have weapons and offensive line to protect the kid. So they're going to be in a really good spot.
In terms of like positive regression, it's like the Eagles and the Cowboys, or excuse me, the Eagles and the Commanders throughout like almost all of last season were like the bottom two pass defenses in the league, and it's like it's just very unlikely that repeats. And the Giants, for the most part, while they
might be worse. The Giants might be worse.
But it's like, yeah, it's like the division has to get better. If it, I mean, would it surprise me if it didn't? No, because I've grown up a Washington fan, and I'm used to that. But overall, you're probably right there. So let me ask you, Pete, in terms of offenses that you're eyeing that are maybe like a little bit not even under the radar, but potentially under the radar, just offenses that you feel good about going into next year. And it can be like a fancy, like a pick like the Texans, or can be maybe a pick that people aren't talking about as much. Who are you looking at as we get closer to the draft?
Well, like we have the obvious ones, like obviously you want Kansas City shares, you want like Detroit shares, you want Houston shares. Green Bay, I think Green Bay, the NFC North, not a good defensive division. I don't think it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of high flying offense. So, and you play in a division like that, score some points. I like the Green Bay offense. I'm not a Jordan Love believer. He ended up proving me right in the postseason. I don't care that they won a football game and they were beating the Niners. He did what I knew he was going to do and fold under pressure. I got a lot of flack for that. Washington, like I said, I do like Washington. I think another division, not the best defenses in the world. I think the Cowboys defense takes a big step back without Dan Quinn, and the Eagles defense will be better, but it's still like you can't do a massive overhaul of a bad secondary like that. And the Giants are terrible. Like the Giants are terrible. So I think if you get the right quarterback in there, I think that's another offense I kind of like. Let me think.
You know who I kind of like? I kind of like the Jaguars still.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what to do with them. I just don't know what to do with the Jaguars at all.
I think just when you look at things right now, like you can kind of get all the pieces of that offense or the primary pieces at pretty good like values throughout drafts. I mean, that might change, but like, ETN is let's see, in tonight's mock, he went at the 4.1. I mean, that's still your RB3 from last season. Christian Kirk goes at the 410. Ultimately with the injury finishes the wide receiver 47. But overall was fine until he got hurt, at least in full PPR. And, everyone like hates Trevor Lawrence, and actually Trevor Lawrence had a really awful fantasy season last year. But actually, when you break down his fantasy stats from 2022 to 2023, and you remember 2022 was like the year like Trevor Lawrence, you picked him up off the waiver wire, felt like a great, like won your league of some of those big games at the end of the season. So 12th in fantasy points in 2022 was 17.9 points per game. He was 13th last year with 17.3, and he was hurt. Like I think that's the big thing with Trevor Lawrence that people are really overlooking is Trevor Lawrence was like super freaking injured last year. Like shouldn't have even been playing in half the games that he played in, right? But that's just what you do as a franchise quarterback, right? So I am still liking the Jaguars. Like, I don't think they're going to be like, like blowing teams out of the water or anything, but I think overall, the value of where you can draft a lot of the Jaguars players is really fair. And I just feel good about them at the moment. So they're kind of like mine. And people in the chat are probably already making fun of me because I like love the Jaguars every year, and I'm on like a Trevor Lawrence train like every year. But and then Evan Ingram's another name that I even mentioned, and Ingram's going at a pretty decent value. He goes at the 6.6 tonight, so I like that as well. I want to go tight end here. We got Hawkinson, Schultz, and Komet. And I'm just going to pick Hawkinson, which I want to see your reaction to that.
I mean, he's out till October at the
Oh yeah,
earliest.
that's right.
Yeah, he's out. I mean, thanks
Let's
to
go.
the Detroit Lions, dirty team. They snatched 2 tight end knees in back-to-back weeks
Yeah.
to end the season. But hey, that's how we're gonna see the NFL now. No hip drop tackle. We're
Yep.
gonna see guys' knees going like guys are just gonna start getting smoked in the knee, and that's not good for fantasy.
So there's a couple other. I'll go double tight end tonight, and I'll
Don't do-
fix that. But
Please don't, because I need another tight. I need a tight end. Thanks to this draft.
well, I'll probably have to. But
No,
I'll.
no, no. You're good.
All right, so let's chat. Let's see some of your guys' names here. Hollywood Brown. So Hollywood Brown is really interesting right now because he goes at the 5'11. Rashee Rice goes at the 5'12. I mean, I think with the Rashee Rice situation, this is the NFL.
it's
We're
it,
probably
it's
gonna see like a
it's 2 games at max. At max, this is 2 games.
I was gonna say
Maybe a game.
yeah, I was gonna say 2 to 4 games is where
No,
I'm like, we'll
nobody
see.
got hurt. Nobody got injured. There
He's
wasn't
very
any
lucky.
sort of like driving under the influence or anything like that. It was
Yeah,
just being reckless
yeah,
and fleeing the scene. It's
yeah.
like he's probably gonna have to write a fat check to a lot of people and do some community service, but there's no way they're gonna hammer him for 4 games. We've seen guys do way worse and get like no time. So
Sure.
just from the optic standpoint, you got to give him a game. Maybe you give him 2 and they negotiate it down to a game for that. And it'll just be like just like last year. But yeah, Hollywood Brown, another guy who can't catch the football when he needs to catch the football. Good job,
And
Kansas City.
and nonetheless, it's like, uh, if Rashee Rice gonna miss time, that's good for Hollywood Brown. So, but I do feel like both of their like ADPs will kind of move after that situation is settled. Like even if
We got to see the draft too, because
sure,
there's where they're going to take a receiver at the top end of the first round, and
sure,
this receiver class is ridiculous. How good it is.
Yeah, and that's something that we'll have to talk about at some point too. Is like what rookies are we eyeing? So Ghost Hunter
I got one of
also.
them. I grabbed one. I grabbed one round 3, baby. Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I love Neighbors right now.
There's your Tyreek Hill Jr.
So Ghost Hunter likes Hollywood and Nick Chubb. Could both be huge late run values if Chubb can come back at least a bit healthy. Yeah, so Chubb went pretty late tonight. 7.11. I'm way too worried to draft Nick Chubb. I can't. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see. No, it doesn't help. For some reason, I can't get the rest of the. Like, we're gonna not be able to see some of the rounds on the screen, but we'll survive.
Oh, well.
I am just way too worried about drafting Nick Chubb.
Yeah, it was a pretty serious knee injury that he had. Like and he's not. I mean, he's still not old, Chubb, so that does help.
Sure.
But it is scary. Also, Cleveland, they threw the football out. Like they turned into this elite passing offense last year. Maybe that's just kind of they're going to get away from that ground and pound game and maybe open things up a little bit more for Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson couldn't play quarterback in that kind of offense with Chubb with them. I mean, the Browns were horrendous with all that stuff going on. So I'm worried about Chubb, and I'm worried about just what the Browns actually are going to look like.
Yeah, I don't really like the Browns offense. Don't really feel crazy, but I mean, I still like Amari Cooper to a degree, but he goes up to 5.7 tonight. I like that value actually, because I'm not really worried about Jerry Jeudy. I'm not saying he's going to be completely irrelevant, but like I'm just not worried about Jerry Jeudy being like a major
another guy who can't catch the football. So.
Yeah, I haven't been on Jerry Jeudy since like his rookie season, sophomore season. I liked him all right, but I'm not a Jeudy guy, and I'm still not.
Good.
And
you shouldn't be a Jeudy guy. It's good.
But I don't really disagree that maybe taking a risk with Chubb is like your RB3 or 4 to 7.11 is like okay. But me personally, you guys know that I don't like players coming off of big injuries, typically speaking.
Yeah.
Kyren Williams, top 5 running back. I mean, we do know that Sean McVay is going to absolutely feed whoever the RB1 is on his respective offense. So, and he's like super mean about it. Like he's only gonna he's gonna sign other running backs for like a week if his RB1 gets hurt and then cut them. So, um, yeah, I love Kyron going into next season. Kyron, I always say his name wrong, as well. And I really think that like end of first round running back tier and beginning the second round running back tier is really interesting right now as well. Josh Jacobs shaping up to be my guy fantasy wise next year. Also, Zach Moss, Reed, Pollard. I talked myself into a lot. Yeah, I really like Josh Jacobs. I really do. Kind of an interesting switch there at running back with Jones gone, and Jacobs coming in and everything. But yeah, I like Josh Jacobs a lot because I think he's a clear workhorse here, and I'm just not worried about AJ Dillon. I'm not. Zach Moss, a good name here as well. I like Jaden Reed where he's going. And Pollard, like I said, I'm not feeling very confident about the Titans, although I accidentally drafted Ridley tonight. But um, I can see why it's easy to talk yourself into Pollard. Going in the fifth-ish round, we know what he's done. It's just last year was just such a slap in the face if you were a Pollard truther, right?
Yeah, it was real hard for some of us over here, i.e., me.
Oh, you know what? I just figured out the screen. There we go, guys.
Like,
I'm done. I forgot I have this open twice, and I was moving the first or the second one, not the first one. Trevor, probably my favorite non-Lion. Yeah. Lions players so dirty. Just let them score the touchdown. What's your thoughts on the Bears offense? So we talked about this a little bit. Bears will be better next year. Terms of like, am I worried about DJ Moore? Not really. Do I like Keenan Allen? Sure. It's like I will say, like DeAndre Swift in the 6th round. Yeah, Swift, one of my guys last year. I love where Swift is going right now, especially as like a RB3. Like I've got Bijan, Rashad White, and Swift. I would be so happy where things stand at this point in the offseason with that running back core, the little sprinkle Brian Robinson in there too. So yeah, I love Swift going into next season. And I think DJ Moore and Allen, where they're going, are fine. And Caleb Williams definitely should help this offense. Let's see. Let's see. Thoughts on Zamir White? I was out on him until they brought in Madison. If that's his only competition in the backfield, could be a steal. I love Zamir White going to next year. Yeah, I really do.
no, Madison's stealing that job.
Pure sarcasm, of course, from the biggest Madison hater on our streams last year. Yeah, so Zamir White, tonight it goes at the 9.5. If he was available when I drafted the 9.8, definitely would have taken him. I even considered him over Brian Robinson. So we'll see what they do in the draft. And of course, free agents can still be added. We got plenty of time there. But I agree. If Madison's his only competition, 100%, I'm a huge fan going into next season of White because the value here is way too good to kind of overlook. I have no idea who my final draft pick's going to be. There's some interesting names. I like this pick. Give me Jahan Dotson.
Do something for the memes here.
Yeah.
You got to do it for the memes. I'm willing this into existence right here with this pick. I'm willing this into existence right now. You heard it here first. Throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson, throwing the ball to Jordan Addison. We're willing this into existence.
So here's a good question from Ghost Hunter. Who do y'all think will be the best rookie quarterback fantasy wise? And it's so hard to answer because obviously landing spot is so huge right here. So huge. And we always think we know like what's going to happen. I think Caleb Williams is pretty clear, but it's like there's so much that could happen in terms of the rest of the top of the draft board. But I think we're going to see the rumor is we're going to see like 4 quarterbacks.
5 first round. There's going to be 5 to 6 first round quarterbacks. We might see 4 for 4 to start the draft.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at like just pulling up the first mock draft that comes up, we got Caleb Williams going to the Bears, Jaden Daniels out of LSU going to the Commanders, Drake May going to the Patriots, JJ McCarthy going to the Broncos. Then we got Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt, Romeo Dunze, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if we got any more quarterbacks going. Probably, maybe. Yeah. Bo Nix going to
Vikings at
Yep.
23.
Yeah.
No shot. No shot. They haven't. This is bad mock draft. They haven't interviewed him. They haven't had him. If they'll go Penix before Bo Nix.
This is tough. I think Jaden Daniels is that kind of like you look at the profile there.
It's like, God, hell.
Yeah.
He runs with reckless abandon for a guy who weighs maybe $195 when he plays. Like I'm so worried he's just going to get hurt, but he's a freak athlete. He is a freak athlete.
And this is like, I was going to say, like, has that kind of like similar, like if we're looking at last year's draft, like the Anthony Richardson kind of like feel where it's like, you get him within the right offense, can really start producing quickly, at least from a fantasy perspective. So, and I think, J-Dubs puts it in good words here. Caleb has the easiest success row, but Jaden Daniels has nice rushing upside. It's like Caleb Williams should have the best road to success here. So I
those
think
two are also in line to start. Like week one, they're going to start probably.
Exactly.
Or whoever, maybe Washington goes Drake May and kind of surprises. But whoever the first two quarterbacks are going to start. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what the other quarterbacks are going to do.
Yeah, the other name for me is Drake May. 100% with what you're saying, like depends on the landing spot. 100%. So it's gonna take a little bit of time to tell, but we'll see what happens. All right, let me take a sip of water. Then let me know if you guys want a team review, and we'll end out the stream that way. All right, Perk Cousins. What we do tonight, cats? We got Kyler at 11.1. I do really like where Kyler is going right now. I think he's fine to draft as a single quarterback in one quarterback league. So I love Kyler's value there. I like David Njoku where he's going right now. I'm fine with both those guys at quarterback and tight end. We got Kenneth Walker, Monty, Jalen Warren, Dobbins, and then we got a rookie running back in here as well. CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Flowers. I really like Flowers there. I like Jaden Reed at the 7.1. And I do like Curtis Samuels. Like, what is this? Your wide receiver 5? 6? Yeah. So I think he's a good little value there as well. So you'd probably be starting Kyler, Njoku, Lamb, London, Walker, Monty, then flexing Flowers, and then flexing Marvin Harrison Jr., Reed, Samuel. So team looks good to me. For being a little rusty, I don't mind it. All right, so Taylor's at the 1.5 tonight. Went early quarterback, early tight end. So we got Lamar Jackson and Sam Laporta. Nothing to really argue there. Am I going to pay the premium on Sam Laporta, who I think in some drafts will go before Travis Kelce? I don't go tight end early, so no. But if you want to go tight end early, I think he's probably the guy to do so. JJ, Devontae, Higgins, Godwin, Mitchell, Wicks, and I do really like Lad McConkey here. Kamara, White, Chase Brown, and then we've got Marshawn Lloyd as well. So you're probably starting Lamar and Laporta. That's a given. Then JJ Adams, Kamara and White, flexing Higgins, flexing Godwin. I do like Godwin's value there. How do you feel about Higgins right now?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, me either.
I'm assuming he's going to play under the tag. I don't know if he's going to hold out or anything like that. It just this feels like maybe since he is all in and like this is the last ride that they're going to have with this iteration of the team. So maybe they ball out. I don't know. Higgins was such a letdown last year. It was kind of really frustrating.
Yeah. And I don't really like Adams. I would say for me, I just worry about this wide receiver room and I worry about the running back room a bit here, Taylor. But I always tell you guys, go get your guys. and it's early in the offseason, but I just don't feel great about Devontae Adams right now. And Higgins has a bit of a question mark, but it could pay off, of course. But and I do like the value of White and even Chase Brown there, but I just would kind of be like that. This is where I'm replacing either the quarterback or tight end with a running back, and then going with either a late round tight end or quarterback if I'm going to sacrifice one or the other. All right, Tom. Let's see what's going on. Tom, good to see you, man. All right, we got Allen and Goodert at quarterback and tight end. I'm good at that. Mixon, Connor, Javonte, really good value. And I like the value in all three of those guys right now. Gus, then we've got Jalen Wright and Donta Foreman. Interesting. Hill, Evans, Cup, Downs, Thielen. I think this team could work. Starting Allen and Goddard, Mixon, Connor, Hill, Evans, flexing Cup or Javonte, both. And then you got some good value guys here. So I think with waiver wire, trade, all that good stuff, this team would be fine. Little veteran-esque, but I think it'd be solid enough. All right, Box and the Jack, what's up, man? Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight and drafting with us, by the way. This has been an absolute blast. All right, we got Goff. See, with these late round quarterbacks, Goff, Love, Murray. I kind of lean Love or Murray over Goff right now. Pitts at tight end. It's a big question. Are we going to trust Kyle Pitts this year? Nah. I don't know if I'm there, but I think it's very doable that he is finally okay. Where if he starts going sooner than the 6th round, it's an absolute no for me. But I'm on the fence right now. All right, we got Jacobs, Pollard, Stevenson. We got Dodal back in the mix, and we got CPAT back with Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh now. St. Brown, Pittman, Kirk, Myers, Douglas, Dortch. So I like this wide receiver room. So you're probably starting, let's go Goff and Pitts, of course, Jacobs and Pollard, St. Brown, Pittman, then flexing Kirk. And your second flex could be Ramondre or any of those wide receivers. So I'm fine with this. I think you got good value at wide receiver and all things considered, pretty good value at running back too. All right, 1.8 roast me. Let's go, J-Dubs. Oh, wait, you're the 1.9. Oh, I'm the 1.8. I'll still look at your team, J-Dubs. I think you're making fun of me, but that's fine. Late round quarterback here, Purdy and Tua. I love those picks. Just going with Bowers at tight end. I'm fine with that, but landing spots can be huge for him. I think he's very similar to Kyle Pitts going in his rookie season. Like, he's going to get drafted. And especially with what we saw with Laporta last season, like, Bowers might end up being overdrafted, but I'm fine if that's your guy. Hall and Kyron, Moss, Ford, Charves. I'm perfectly fine with the running backs here. Debo, Waddle, and Dunze, McLaurin, D-Hop. I'm good at that. Yeah. I like this squad. So you're starting Purdy or Tua. Got to start Bowers. Starting Hall and Kyron. Starting Debo and Waddle. And then you could really flex anyone else on this team, but I would imagine McLaurin is probably going to be in there. So yeah, that looks good to me. Reverse at the 112. We got Prescott and Fields. Why not draft Fields as your QB2? Why not? I'm good with Ferguson. Get a little stack there. Barkley, Pacheco, ETN, Sanders, Pierce. I think that's actually a pretty decent running back room, but man, I am not drafting Miles Sanders. Not touching him. Garrett Wilson, Rashee Rice, Pickens, Watson, Judy. I mean, I think there's a good amount of upside here at wide receiver, and I'm still good with Garrett Wilson going to next season for sure. But yeah, I think Rice, Pickens, Watson, and yeah, I talked about it earlier. I'm still not a Judy guy, but if he's your final wide receiver, maybe I'll be wrong. You know, I'm not always right. So we're starting Dak and Fergie. Starting Barkley and Pacheco, Wilson, and probably Rashee Rice. And then you got ETN, Watson, Pickens, Judy, and maybe Damian Pierce or Miles Sanders to flex. So I like it. Let's see here. Tucci's at the 1-7. We got Burrow and Ingram. As long as, I mean, Burrow's going to be fine by week 1, right? We never know.
Yeah.
He gets hurt every preseason. So
maybe he'll have a training camp for once.
I'm fine with Burrow, 10th round, you know. Fine with Ingram, of course. JT Najee. We got 2 rookie running backs, and we got Kendre Miller. We got Puka, Dell, Metcalf, Coop, Bourne, and Coleman at wide receiver. So you're starting Burrow and Ingram, JT and Najee, Puka, Dell, then flexing Metcalf and Cooper. Right? I'd be okay with this team. We got to see landing spots for some of these rookies, but yeah, if you're happy with it, I'm happy with it. All right, let's see. Trying to get through all the teams that you guys want me to. And let's see here. All right, Ghost Hunter at the 111. We got Richardson and the guy we just talked about, Jaden Daniels. We got Kincaid at tight end. Henry with a new team in Baltimore. James Cook, I like him at the 4-2. Chubb and Mitchell. AJ Brown, Olave, Hollywood Brown, Shakir. We got Worthy at wide receiver and Mims at wide receiver. So starting Richardson and Kincaid, Henry and Cook, AJ Brown, Olave, flexing Hollywood, flexing Nick Chubb or Shakir. I'm okay with it. I do really like the value in the first 5, 6, 7 rounds there. Lots of fun names. All right, let's take a look at Pete's team. See what you threw together.
Running 5 wide receiver sets.
Well, we were talking a lot, so. We got Stroud and then Drake May. We had to go Drake May, right? I like what you ended up doing at tight end with Kmet and Luke Musgrave. Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Tajay Spears, Chuba. I actually like your running back room. Yeah, I love
thin. If we get hurt, we're in trouble. We're in real trouble if we get an injury.
I love Chuba as a late round running back. Absolutely. And as your RB4, I feel good about him. And I don't love the Titans situation here, but Tajay Spears, I'm fine with taking him. As long as he's not your RB2, right?
Yeah.
Collins, Neighbors, Allen, Addison, Mike Williams. I feel pretty good about these wide receivers too. Mike Williams is a big old question mark, but if Aaron Rodgers is healthy,
give me them jump balls, baby. Red zone, throw me that back shoulder. I'm getting touchdowns.
The upside is always there as long as he can stay healthy, right? J-Dub, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, man. So really, you're starting Stroud and Kmet or Musgrave.
Yeah.
Gibbs and Jones, Collins and Allen. Then you're probably just flexing Addison and Neighbors, right?
Yeah, we're going heavy wide out.
Yeah, I mean, you got other names you can flex here too. So I don't think your team's awful. J-Dubs asked, how do we feel about Kmet with Everett there? I still like Kmet, but it's really going to come down to Caleb Williams and who he prefers and who he has the chemistry with. But I could see both these guys being involved. Kmet was your tight end 8 last year, but he's always him and Fields had good chemistry. So
they paid him, I think. They're gonna want Kmet to get they paid him good money last year, going into last year.
I feel okay. If you're drafting a second tight end with him, I'm okay with Kmet. I'm a Kmet fan. I always have been. So I'm okay with him. Let's roast my team. First mock draft of the year. This is what I came up with. So we'll see what I did. All right. I want to go late round quarterback, and I kept holding off, and I went with Herbie. Who's kind of in a weird position here. This team literally sucks. There's no Austin Eckler, no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen, no Gerald Everett. So what is this team going to look like with Hayden Hurst, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, Gus?
They don't throw the ball either. Jim Harbaugh does not throw the football. They might run 60 times a game.
Yeah. So I really puzzled myself making this pick. But then I was just thinking about the sheer talent that is Justin Herbert. But I do think holding off and getting a guy like Purdy or Tua is just better. Or targeting Kyler, who's already taken, Jordan Love, around that area. Or even just going Burrow or Love for that matter over Hawkinson, who's not going to play half the year because I'm stupid. It probably would have been smarter. But how do you guys feel about Herbert? Let me know in the chat. He's my QB1. At least generally speaking, in fantasy, QB can be like patched up through the waiver wire for the most part, is what the last couple of years have shown. So
There is a slight chance Herbert could get traded too. There's a
yeah,
there is a chance that he could get dealt.
complete rebuild.
Yeah, well, the Chargers are sitting at 5, and JJ McCarthy is probably going to be there.
Okay, okay.
So he can draft Harbaugh can draft his boy JJ McCarthy. He's been hyping up all process, and they'll pick up an extra 2 first-round picks, send them to Minnesota for 11 and 23 and a first next year or something like that, and you can pick
Huh.
up extra firsts. It's on the table.
Herbie,
It's on the
Herbie fully
table.
loaded on the move would be interesting. I got Hawkinson and Schultz at tight end, so Hockey going to miss some time. But, throw him on IR, save him for later, and roll with Dalton Schultz, who, I still like Dalton Schultz a lot. Tight end 11 last year, but obviously, we got Diggs on this offense. Nico's there, Tank is there, but they're going to throw a ton. And I still like Dalton Schultz where he's going. All right, running backs. I love this running back room. Bijan, Rashad White, Swift, and Brian Robinson. So, yes, I still like Bijan. I think he's going to be fine. I think his offense
It can't be any worse than last year. Like, Bijan has to be better this year. He has a competent somebody. I mean, you and me could call him better competent play set for Bijan Robinson.
And overall, it's like, man, if you like Brees Hall there over Bijan, I'm okay with that. If you like Gibbs there over Bijan, okay with that. Even if, like, I don't know, you like Barkley or Henry, like this whole kind of tier, even like Kyron and JT, it's like this whole tier of running backs. Like, I completely get, like, I think you just go out and get your guy. But I like this Falcons offense a lot going into next year, and I like Bijan. So, but man, Hall and Gibbs are like, it's so freaking close. But Rashad White going at the 3-8, and some mocks maybe even going a little bit later, maybe going a little earlier, depends. But man, the RB8 last year, love me some Rashad White, one of my most drafted running backs last year. Talked about him a ton. I still absolutely love him at this value as an RB2. Swift as my RB3, another guy I talked about a ton last year. Love him with the Bears this year. And I love Brian Robinson as an RB4, even though we've got Austin Eckler in the mix now. I still like Brian Robinson quite a bit. All right, wide receivers are kind of interesting. We got Ayuk, Devonta Smith, an auto pick of Calvin Ridley, which is okay. Deontay Johnson, Cortland Sutton, and Jahan Dotson. So, do I love these wide receivers? No. Do I hate them? No. I'm okay with Ayuk as a wide receiver 1. Granted, he's still with the Niners. Looks like that's probably going to be the case. Devonta Smith, I still believe in. One of my favorite wide receivers, most drafted wide receivers over the last 2 years. It was a little shaky last year, but I'm okay with Devonta still. I actually am okay with Calvin Ridley right here, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Hollywood and Rashee Rice, even George Pickens going after him. I would have probably drafted any of those guys over Ridley, who is my auto pick. I like Deontay in the 7th. Cortland Sutton, this offense going to suck if he's still with Denver, doesn't get traded. But man, I like Sutton. I think the talent is still there. Another guy I drafted a lot of last year, but we'll kind of see how that goes. And then Jahan Dotson, like that's just I like Dotson at the end of drafts because it's like, we saw what he could do as a rookie. Last year was really disappointing, but if we're of the belief that this offense can be better this year with the new rookie quarterback, then I think Dotson is definitely worth the pick where he's going right now. So I'd be starting Herbert at least to start my season. Then Schultz, Bijan and White, Ayuk and Devonta. Then Ridley, DeAndre Swift, Deontay Johnson, Brian Robinson, maybe Sutton, maybe Dotson could all be flexed. And that's what I always want to do is like have 2 running backs that I believe in, 2 wide receivers I believe in, good enough quarterback, good enough tight end, and then have multiple running backs / wide receivers that I can flex as well. So I'm okay with it for my first mock of the season. Could be better. Could have definitely been worse. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen. So that does it for the night. There is your first 2024 fantasy football mock draft here on The Catch. So it's been a while. I have missed you guys dearly. And I just want to say thank you guys so much to everyone who came out tonight. Thank you guys To everyone who mock draft with us tonight. Thank you to Pete for joining us. And yes, I will be coming back around and hopefully be coming back around a lot more frequently as well to do both mock drafts and, of course, some underdog drafts as we continue to approach the actual NFL draft and the summertime when us fantasy football nerds get a lot more excited about things. So, you guys asking drafter of the night, team of the night from the teams that we went over. I mean, I ended up liking J-Dub's team a lot. I just always think that J-Dubs finds good value throughout his drafts. And I also like Tom's team, even though, like I said, a little bit veteran-esque. I definitely think with waiver wire incorporated as well as trades, this team could end up being quite good. So, and I think Pete, you give Pete a pat on the back. I think he found good value in tonight's draft as well. And I also like Reverse's team. So I think, I mean, as per usual, you guys all drafted pretty well. So that's typical. So, okay, guys, that'll do it. And I'll be back soon. I forgot how to end streams, but Pete, you got anything you want to say before we sign off here?
No, I just want you to know it's great to have you back. I'm excited to do a lot more of these streams as we get closer to the football year and possibly more content on the channel. Who knows? We'll see how things go. But I'm just excited to have you back. Excited to have the Catch fam back chatting with you guys. So, yeah, it was just a great night.
Absolutely. I will probably be back tomorrow. So we'll see. Keep posting on Discord. And thank you guys so much, man. Love you guys, man. Love you. Love the Catch. Love the Catch fam. And I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And